In this tutorial, we'll look at inserting beam systems for a roof structure. So we're going to put beams along the ridges and along the peak here on this roof, and then also put a beam system for trusses in the middle there. Now if you go to your structure, you'll see the beams. We're going to go ahead and select beams. You'll notice that there's a placement plane. The structural usage, you can set what type of beam is put in here. And important thing to notice here when we're putting beams, especially on the ridges and the peaks here, is we want to have this 3D snapping on. Now you notice when 3D snapping's on, I can draw a beam, and if that beam is going to come in whatever plane you have listed here. However, if I have 3D snapping on and I actually click on the pick a line element here, we can put beams directly in 3D. The previous beams, as they went in just in plan view in certain areas, and so this allows us to put beams along certain 3 dimensions between work planes. Okay, so there is our beams that way. So that shows you putting in the beams along the ridges and the peaks. You can also put them in along the bottom side if they're not already beams down here. Next, we're going to go ahead and put in a beam system. So the beam system, if we go back to our structure, you notice the beam system. I'm going to now change to my roof plan view. And when we do a beam system, we can draw out what the boundary line is going to be. And so I'm going to draw, just in general, a boundary line, and we'll keep this fairly simple. So this beam system is going to be just on the north side of the roof. Now you'll notice as I draw this that the parallel lines here show the directions of the beams. Ultimately, we're going to want these to go kind of north-south here so that they are going from the base down up to the peak of the roof, and we'll do those for all sides, and I'll show you how to change that in a second. But just to start off, let's go ahead and look at this. You'll notice that there's spacing here, and so we get one system in there, one beam in there. If I change this spacing down to 4 and we'll apply, you can see that you're going to get more beams in this beam system here. Now, if we look in 3 dimensions, I'm going to go ahead and pull off my roof. And we're going to hide the roof. What you'll notice is that the beams actually did not come up. This surface is along that horizontal plan view over the roof, so that these did not come from the base all the way up to the peak here. They're just along a flat plane currently. Now, in order to put a beam system in, what we've done is we've removed that other beam system that came in on the horizontal roof plane there, and we're going to create a new set of work planes. So if we go now to our east-facing view, you notice this is your north side of the roof and this is your south side of the roof. That previous beam system came in right along the roof's edge here. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to create a reference plane. And when you create that reference plane, if you use the green pick line right here, and we're going to pick along there. Now before you escape or click out of that, you'll notice that a circle has been created here, and we want to drag that up just a little bit. What that allows us to do is it allows us to pick that reference plane later and rename it. So we've done one, and now we're going to do the south facing roof, and we will do the same thing by extending that just a little bit. Now I'll hit escape, and once we have these 2 extending here, notice that if I click on them, the properties that's listed for this reference plane has no name to it. So this is the south facing roof. We're going to put south, we're going to apply, and on the other one we'll put the north facing roof. We'll apply that as well. So those are our roofs, and those the work plane is no longer horizontal but aligns with what the direction of the roof is. So in order to then put the beam system in, we can go back to our roof line. And so from our roof view here, if you go to your structure, We're going to now set the reference plane no longer as roof, but we're going to look now and we should have the north and the south. So we'll do the north first, hit OK, and I will go ahead and put in a beam system. And this is not allowing me to do a one-click automatic beam system, which is fine, and we will go in and click on the boundary of the north roof. And let's go ahead and just change the distance again so we can see the spacing on that, and we'll go back to our 3D view to see if this did indeed come in. And so you can see now that the beam system actually comes in along that work plane that way. Now the one last thing we need to do is reorient the beams. Currently the beams are horizontal along with increasing elevation there, and so we want to change those from the base to the peak. So basically switch them 90 degrees. So if we go back to our roof view here and see if we can select that beam system there, what we're going to do is going to edit boundary. So when you look at this again, the two parallel lines here that surround that bottom, that top line right there, that's showing the direction of the beams. If I was to take beam direction and I looked at this one here, that's going to make them go parallel to whatever line is created. Now notice that we don't have any line that's created that is in this orientation vertical. So we want to go in and we're going to just change this real quick. So we're going to go to the boundary line and we're going to put in just a short little line here, like so, and a short little line, like so. Now we need to go in and basically trim out these sections. So you can use different tools here. The split tool will allow you to split lines at certain sections, and also you have your trim tool. Each of these should allow you to effectively cut off the last little tips of the triangles here. So I can delete these extra pieces. Note that the roof system will not complete unless it is continuous boundary all the way around. So let's see if I think I may have one that's not continuous. If I hit okay, so that did do edited that correctly. Now if I go back into edit boundary, what we want to do now that that is complete, is we want to change the beam direction to this alignment here. And once we do that, then our beams come in like so. So you can do that for all four sides and be able to create the trusses on the beam system.